Hello, Netrunners, and welcome to the finals of the ANRPC HAC division.
HAC.
What is that for long, Tim?
It is the Heartland of America circuit.
Also known as the HAC. My name is Steven.
Without the K.
Tim's over here next to me. You guys can't see him. One day
Tim.
you will. We've got Mason on the left. We've got me on the right, and I think I'm gonna commentate this one as if I'm not gonna talk in first person. We've tried this before.
It's hard.
It was a complete joy to be here in the top 8 and to get to the finals. I made it in on the 6th seed, Wildcats. Playing Harpsichord Studios versus Kate, and this is a classic matchup on the day, let me tell you. And install, and playing a sweeps week.
It seems okay.
Leave that HQ open. You know why? Because is Kate going to siphon you?
Maybe.
If she started, it would really be a good place for this deck, let me tell you. Sure Gamble, Opus, installs the Utopia Shard.
For freezies.
For freezies, that's
He's
right.
hiding it back there.
And low on cash. All right. Steven looking.
And Opus turn 1 is what
Draw
that
a card.
deck wants.
It does want this, and this is the very exciting. Pay attention to this deck. This is the new Kate, right?
People call it Kate Hole.
It's called. Do they really call it?
That's what some people have called it. It's
That's
got
fantastic.
rabbit holes and the Nexus console.
Around here, we call it Nexus Kate. It does have the security Nexus console as the main mover and shaker there. A lot of other things changed up, but this one's obviously it's got rabbit holes, Opus for the economy. And there goes the Jackson into the hole. I'm going to draw 2 for the second click.
Holes everywhere.
Jackson in the hole. Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
So, do you think Jackson was worth including in this deck, Steven?
It's pretty okay. Yeah, it's a valid card side, let me tell you. So what these harp decks are looking to do, for those of you who have not seen these in action, I was in that camp really for a good majority of my life previous to this tournament.
How many games of Harpsichord did you play before this tournament,
There was
Steven?
not enough. Let me tell you, this is a rusty Harpsichord play. This is not going to be great Harpsichord play. Had really kind of put it together. I knew about the deck and what it was trying to do for a while leading up to Worlds. I didn't really play it too much, and then played it a little bit before the tournament, and was thinking, well, I was thinking after Worlds, and Harpsichord didn't really show up at Worlds, nobody was going to be running their protection, right? They were going to say, well, Harpsichord wasn't strong enough, people aren't going to be running it at an ANRPC event, so I was going to be the guy that was surprise killing people because they had dropped their Plascrete or their Utopia Shard. As it turns out, that was not the case at all, so it was a tough day for Harpsichord. It was 6-4 in the Swiss. There's the Data Raven, also known as a 4-cost in the run for about 20 turns of this game,
And then
I'm
it's
sure.
nothing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's nothing. Anyway, so the protection was there, and it was a tough day trying to get kills, and what this deck's trying to do is score a breaking news and another agenda, sacrifice one of them on a 24/7, and then do like a Scorch play, set all that kind of stuff up, or you can win on points.
You also have mid-seasons in there, too,
You've
right?
got a couple of mid-seasons in the deck, so you've got
So you get the standard, old-fashioned version of the kill, and then you also
Yeah.
got the new 24/7 kill.
What I was missing was the C-Source. I would probably trade one mid-seasons for a C-Source, maybe even both. I don't know. I don't think I mid-seasoned a soul all day. There was just people like Mason here just really staying even on money, not giving you good trades. And the Harpsichord deck doesn't have quite as much to trash as those NEH decks, so it's not quite as negative impact on the economy. And just tough calls, but man, this deck has some plays. It has some real good plays, and I was kind of discovering them all day. And let me tell you, this deck can do some crazy things.
Oh, it does that.
Yeah, it kept getting better and better. I got to be honest. And just setting up here now. This is the hard thing to take as Harpsichord when you're sitting across from it. Is I know this deck is wide open right now, and yet I can't take advantage of it. And that is just the craziness that Harpsichord Studios creates. Even if you steal an agenda, you don't even really know if you want that at this point in the game.
A lot of times you don't want that.
A lot of times, yeah, that mid-season is lurking. It's sometimes you stuff an agenda that you'd rather not have, and then they score the agenda that you want. If they put 2 down, it gets very difficult at times. But Mason and I here in the top 8 room at Covenant Tulsa, it's a very nice, intimate environment. Have nothing but silence. It's some good Netrunner. Some nice casual Netrunner. Mason, an incredible story of this tournament. Just totally taking it to the house. Kansas just representing so hard in the top 8. And, he makes it here, and he works his way up through the losers bracket and has been on fire these past few games here in the cut. So I was pretty dang worried, especially coming into here, because his Kate, especially this Kate deck that he and Sasha and that crew has put together. I know John Delisandri has something to do with this monster as well.
Doesn't he always, though?
He does. He always seems to be lurking around there. It's tough. It's a tough matchup for this, and you know, he's got the Utopia shard out already. A Plascrete here begins to look really bad for me. I don't have a lot of fast advance outs against a Kate deck that gets set up like this.
Because he can just trash the San.
Yeah, he can trash the San. I don't have any biotics.
Right? Yeah.
Best I can do at that point is double install agendas and hope that he chooses wrong. But if he installs a Film Critic as well,
things get real bad.
And that's the thing, is this deck has a lot of Silver Bullet answers. I think that's why it didn't do so hot through a long Swiss tournament at Worlds. And a lot of players kind of scared off of it because you can just hit some matchups that are so tough. And Resin the Wraparound there on HQ, you got to wonder, why would I Resin the Wraparound on HQ? Does that get Mason's attention? Are there agendas in there? I'm only on 3 money. I'm not really threatening midseason, so Installing the Lady is a fine play here. And he's still going to decide if he wants to hit it.
Lady is such a good card.
Incredible.
I think I threw 2 off the horizon. Maybe that's what I had. And then Diesel.
A little discussion on clicks here.
Yep, working it out. The Earthrise always throws me off a little bit. You see your opponent draw, and it's like, oh, first click drawn.
The stream's calling shenanigans.
And that's it. So mandatory draw. So now HQ is essentially wide open. And we'll see if that affects the decision points here. Don't really know what was in hand.
You're probably just threatening it, making him want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nothing in there.
Exactly, and that's reasonable.
A mitt full of scorch is what I like to call that.
As they say in the business, sometimes the best thing you can do is trust the runner to have what he needs to get in. And if it's, you know, pay 2 for a wraparound, trade you 4 for a lady, and maybe waste some time looking around HQ, could be solid.
That is what they say, Steven.
That is what they say. There's an install. And this is kind of, we're going to check Mason here and just kind of see. He does have an SMC and a clone chip. So I'll give him the opportunity to use that if he'd like right now. He shouldn't. Unless I'm running a shipment on that breaking news or something.
It'd be awesome if you were.
I think Mason probably knows by now that that was not in the deck. But let me tell you, there's a lot of things I'd change going back through here. I think a shipment or 2 and a CVS. Installing on top. Just a little confusion factor there, right?
It's my favorite.
It's like, what is that? Tim, what is that?
That is a snare.
Could be a news team, Sansan. It could be any number of things.
That was a snare.
Mason's going to check it. Sees the top. It's a product placement. Trashes for 2, and I gain 2.
Money, money, money.
Not a bad trade.
Breaking news.
And there's a breaking news.
I imagine Mason's going to gain money. Ooh.
And installs the rabbit hole, and that could potentially, now a lot of times I'll make that play if I'm holding like a sweeps mid-seasons or a sweeps hedge fund mid-seasons. Sometimes you have to hide your money a bit like that. I don't really think that I'm going to get this to pay off. 2 goes up.
Second is right.
Steven, you're drawing wild cards in this game.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this deck does, right?
It just draws cards.
Yep. And honestly, I think installing that breaking news was just a mistake. After the install was when I realized the clone chip SMC clot kind of business. So then I think I backed off of the wanting to advance it. Didn't want to waste the time. Put the product placement. I got in Mason earlier with a double product placement remote earlier in the round, and I was hoping that he would think that it's the same thing. But
which easily could have been.
It easily could have been, but like a great player, of course, you're not going to. There was really no risk to him running that. Which, when you're the corp and you're thinking, man, if I can trick the runner to doing this, the first thing you ask, they're going to say, what could this be? What's the worst case scenario? And for Mason right there was not really a bad scenario for him. So of course he runs it. Worst case scenario, he spends 4 and I make 4, and that's absolutely worst case. So.
And he's got an Opus on the board.
And he's got Opus on the board, yeah. So it was just a bad call.
So money is pointless to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's worthless. It makes no sense, but it does to me.
To me, for sure. All right, so 1 point up, and an all-important breaking news, no less.
That's very important.
Yeah, just real bad.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. You really want that. So going to use Jackson here. And now is when things get a little bit weird for Kate, because there's not a good answer to this Data Raven. You start throwing quantums behind that, and you just...
Well, the answer to it is Security Nexus.
The answer to it is Security Nexus, yeah. Now, Mason's already going to have an easy time of it. He can not break it, because he's beating that trace without any kind of help from those rabbit holes and Kate. So the actual Data Raven trace is not an issue. It's the fact that he picks up a tag just going through. Then you score your quantums behind it, those kinds of things. So he's just got to be careful here that he's not spending too much time, gaining and shaking tags just to score me points, which is just it's an incredible agenda for NBN.
It's a very good one.
That's it. Make sure
Doing a little origami here on the deck. Total psych out stuff right there.
This is how I mark my cards?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very specific. I always have the cards facing towards me. The openings face towards me.
See, I always have them facing to the right of me.
Yeah, well, there you go.
No, that's wrong. To the left of me. And then I just pick them up.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to touch your cards anymore. My hands are sick.
Mason, I'm not going to touch your cards anymore. My hands are really gross.
Do you see what my shirt is underneath?
It's such a good game, man. It's such a good game, such a good community.
Install.
Click one.
Mason's the champion.
Okay.
Click one, install behind the Data Raven. Advance it.
Okay.
Is that a cat's? That's what I'm calling that agenda, by
And
the way.
advance it again. And
Oh,
scoring
no.
out the 15
15.
minutes. So Mason's got to be lucky here that was not a breaking news. It's one of the pieces, though. A lot of times you want to get that 15 minutes and the breaking news so that you can sack the 15 minutes to trigger the news. So you do have to have one of those pieces in place. So it's good to get that on the board, but a breaking news there is pretty tough, too. That really sets up a lot of combos down the line. And it looks like Mason just drew into his clot, and he just hard plays it here. Such a good play. I got to tell you, man, I've been playing NBN for a very long time, and this card is real. Clot is
it's
very
real annoying.
real. You see it, and it's not the end of the world, man, but now it's like, okay, do I purge?
Are you playing against someone running Sacrificial Construct yet with it?
I've heard that's the tech now,
It's
yeah.
so annoying.
It's just
Like,
impossible.
purge to get rid of your sac construct.
Then purge again,
No,
and then
purge
they
it.
clone ship it back.
And then you're just like, blah!
Yeah, really, really tough. All right, but now, see, Harp's in a good place here because if I have two agendas in hand, I can guarantee to score one of them, aside from the Film Critic install. And that's what I've got to worry about here is if Mason drops Film Critic,
Things get bad.
things get really, really bad for me. If he has Clot, Utopia, and Film Critic, especially if there's also a class create, it's nearly unwinnable unless somebody just makes a huge mistake.
Yeah.
All right, throwing one thing behind the Data Raven there. We call that a dare.
Dare.
Click one is the security nexus, and I am so happy to see this. Could give me an opportunity to make some plays. Mason investing 8 in that could get me up on the differential here. You gotta do a little card reading.
The run-ins and I take
That's how you know that you're playing the good cards.
Yeah, you're running a good deck whenever you're having to have your opponent read your cards.
First click.
We call that a Joe special.
I pass that right. And you're gonna have to pay 1 to do that. 5, 6.
And looking at it here,
have 5 links.
so what does it do?
Nice.
So it's
Okay.
straight.
Oh, you have that much link, so basically you
I have
can
to pay
bypass
money.
any piece of ice.
Yeah.
It gives me an
So you could keep him out right now. You can make him encounter or take a tag and in the run. But it would just cost you 7, 8 money.
Yeah, it cost me 8.
I don't like that math.
Nobody likes that
Bad
math.
passive.
Okay, let's
So he runs right through the data raven, which is incredible,
You got it.
because that gets the quantum on his side of the board. Aside from that Nexus play, there's nothing that he can do to prevent that from happening.
Do you think that if you pay the 8 there, he runs back, like he just takes it and goes?
I mean, the thing is
Well, he ends the run and takes a tag.
yeah,
Period.
let's say,
But then he can't trigger a security nexus again.
yeah,
So he has to run through it and actually take the tag if he wants to access that card.
yeah. You could take, but the way that I look at that is I'm sitting on 1 credit at that point. He has an entire another turn. I can't even advance out an Astro at that point. Like
But if that was a breaking news, you could credit advance score.
I could threaten nothing. Yeah, and that would maybe
then if-
change the math a little bit.
If he does run into it, then it's a Q and you get it.
Yeah. No,
Cats.
that's true. That's true. But I mean, you also got to think, is there a mid-seasons play here potentially? I mean,
He's got 11 money now.
hedge, mid-seasons, sweeps, hedge, mid-seasons. Okay, here's a double install. And passing it on over.
One is diesel.
First click Diesel, and I'm clinching up for Film Critic right here.
It gives you flames.
I'm so worried about Film Critic. I think this is a double agenda install.
2 is run, attempt to bypass.
2 is run and Nexus. And this is exactly actually what I'm looking for. So that, as long as there's no Film Critic, I'm going to get this outside card, assuming it's an agenda. There's the R&D interface. And gaining some cash. And here we have what probably the most heartbreaking moment of this game.
This is the most heartbreaking.
Let me tell you.
For you.
Yeah, because it was right there. And this is just, I'll tell you what, guys. It's not knowing this deck well enough. You know, people always tell you, they say it every time, take a deck that you're familiar with, take a deck that you're comfortable with. This is exactly why. These are the kinds of things that you do when you don't fully understand and just haven't seen the plays enough. So advanced breaking
Score
news,
breaking news,
which
that's
is great
great.
for me. 2 tags on Mason. So here's what needs to happen right now. Mason needs to pop that Utopia shard before I take my
Well, you
third
get
action.
the first. Oh yeah.
So, and then I sweeps, which is incorrect. Mason has to pop the Utopia. When he doesn't, I need to trash the Utopia. It's so obvious, and it became so obvious immediately after that game ended. So that is just wrong. Don't do that. Everybody, don't do that. Mason should have popped it, and I should have trashed it.
These are all true statements.
As my good friend Dan Darginio said, it was a double punt. It was a good time.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And accurate.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Utopia Shard on the board, which is a bummer. That really should be gone in some way or another, either being used or being trashed. And now it's time to try to set up the kill before he gets Plascrete. I know I have a couple of kill pieces in hand, 24/7, and then a Scorch or a Scorch Traffic. Any of that works here. So Mason has got to be very nervous about this kill potential. All you need is 24/7 and 2 kill pieces in hand to essentially launch it. There's 24/7. So I'm making the kill here, and I happen to have 2 Scorched Earth and a Traffic Accident in hand, 5 cards. So here's the math, Tim. If he pulls of the 2 cards any non-kill cards, I will win this game unless he drops that Plascrete. He pulls that one. Looks at it, not supposed to, doesn't matter. It's a Scorched Earth. And my heart sinks, so it just has to not be a kill card. And it's a Scorched Earth, by the way.
So you got rid of both Scorch?
He got rid of both Scorch, so I'm left with Traffic Accident and 2 non-kill cards.
So what you're saying is he got the 30%?
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 tags. That's correct.
Yeah, and it's a complete disaster. I mean, that was the game. So I think the odds on that are 30%. He had
Well, you should have trashed the Utopia, which means you have a 100% chance.
but if he had used the Utopia, I might have gotten those double Scorch out of the hand.
But then you don't
early.
waste your 24/7.
It's very true. It's very true. So disregarding the double punt, let's assume that didn't happen.
Now you should probably trash that Earthrise, so he doesn't find the Film Critic.
That's
quicker.
totally fair. That's fair.
'Cause you have
I mean,
2 clicks left now.
yeah, I don't know though too. I don't know. Money sucks in this deck.
I would trade that Earthrise.
Yeah, you
all
probably
day.
should trash that Earthrise. Yeah, I think you're right.
It's 6 cards for 2 credits that you're not giving him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's reasonable for sure.
But it's fine.
As I said, this is not great harpsichord play. A lot of people can do better than this. Sure gamble, shake tag.
Shake your tag.
Shake.
Shake your tags.
And then modded for the HQI. All right, and
Mason's just building.
well, he's just setting up really. And here's the thing: there was a thing behind that data raven. That could be any number. That could be an Astro there. He didn't check it,
It could be anything.
which I think is why I installed it. I don't know. We'll see what it is or what it was. Didn't even Nexus it. I may have been expecting him to.
Maybe he called your bluff.
I think he did, yeah. Or I called my own bluff. He was already 2 actions sunk into those tags. That was obvious. Yeah, that was not great.
Second is draw.
That was a lot of punting. At this point, I have no.
You owe me one?
In my head, this game is essentially over. What are my outs here?
That's even a basket.
As long as he doesn't drop Film Critic, I guess I can...
You can do the same thing. You
Yeah.
can buy back.
Mm-hmm. Try to get back in, get a Jackson, and get those Scorches back in.
Or just find the third one.
Find the third Scorch and a couple of accidents. I will have to score one more, so it'll have to be a double install.
3 and 4 credits.
Because I think he'll check everything from here on out. Unless there's one been lurking behind that data raven the whole time.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be good?
Because he's not checking it now.
He's
that you
not
can score
checking it. No, he's not checking it.
Yeah, I think
That might be the safest place for the agenda. Classic Dave Hoyland right there.
That's right. Just leave it on the board.
They won't
Just
check it.
Safe as anything.
first install,
I think it's an ABT.
install, there's advance.
And there's the harpsichord random roll the die.
GLH Elf.
And this is just a... You're right. I mean, seeing that Earthrise tick now is a real bummer. And there's the Film Critic. That game is so over, Tim.
Host it.
Season Astro is going to host it.
He's thinking about it.
Or, yeah.
I think you just score it. Because there's a Palooza out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be scoring it. Mason scores it there. Goes to 6. And that Film Critic, a real problem, Tim, let me tell you. Oh, man. Just dismantled.
Palooza.
Just destroyed. This is how it goes wrong. It goes wrong from Kate having the answers and you making some incorrect plays. That's how you lose at Netrunner. You know that?
Yep. I do.
I'll take your word on it. Better not be backstabbing me.
Discards the stim hack. Is there a way out?
I don't think so, Steven. I think that's game.
Yep.
It's not good, is it?
Just click, score that at Palooza.
Yeah, this is a real problem. Looking
If
at
you didn't have 5-link and you had sweeps mid-season,
I mean, you just can't.
it wasn't agenda.
It was a TGTBT.
Check this out.
All right, so that was my hope was that he would run through the data raven, see the TGTBT. Maybe he would do it in a way that he couldn't shake the tag. Maybe he'd be dumb on a 4th click, trying to give him an opportunity to lose this game. But yeah, had the kill in hand. Mason plays it correctly, and then, we both played incorrectly, then he plays it correctly, and the game is over.
The game is his. That means we're going on to game 2 of this final.
Doesn't it feel good to see Harpsichord lose like
Oh
that,
yeah,
though?
it's always good to see any NBN lose.
Yeah,
really.
we're going to move on to the next game of this finals series, guys. So stay tuned, and let's see if Mason takes it to the house.
See you guys.